In the UK, BYD's sales quadrupled, while Tesla's sales collapsed almost 60%. And that's not just a quirky little blip. It tells us something much bigger is happening in the UK in the EV market. Let's jump into that. Hello folks, my name is Ben Alexander. Thank you very much for tuning in. I really appreciate your time. And thank you to the members on Patreon and YouTube here. Thank you very much for joining. These are the people who are the members. So the headline first. According to the UK's Society of Motor Manufacturers and Traders, the official trade body that tracks all new car sales, BYD sold around 3,200 vehicles in July alone in 2025, so just last month. That's 4 times more than last year. Meanwhile, Tesla dropped to 987 vehicles sold in the exact same month, which is actually a 60% decline, 59% decline from last year. So to put that into perspective, BYD, which barely really existed in the UK 2 years ago, now outsold Tesla by 3-1 in July. So that's a reversal. Nobody expected this quickly, but I'm glad to see, really, because they make brilliant cars. I think it's fairly obvious why. There are a couple of things at play here. The biggest factor is price. The UK government recently adjusted its EV subsidy rules. Instead of giving blanket support, they're now giving the largest benefits to cars under £35,000. So that immediately favours the brands like Kia, BYD, MG, for example. That actually puts Tesla at a disadvantage as well. So when buyers walk into a dealership or scroll online, they're seeing BYD Dolphins, Atto 3s, BYD Seal U's, plug-in hybrids, and all priced within that the reach of the subsidy, that sweet spot. So meanwhile, the Tesla Model Y, obviously, in the UK, around £45,000 to £50,000. Even after Tesla's price cuts earlier this year, they're just not competitive when it comes to the subsidies, typically. So this is exactly the kind of shift policymakers were aiming for. They want to nudge people into more affordable electric vehicles, not just luxury ones. And BYD is positioned perfectly for that. So let's go through what BYD is actually selling now in Britain. So the BYD Dolphin starting at around £26,000. I think it's 26,100 or something like that at the minute. I just checked this morning. 60 kilowatt hour LFP battery, 265 miles WLTP range. You'll probably get 220, 230, unless it's winter, maybe 180, 190 or something like that. It's a compact hatchback, directly takes on the Volkswagen ID3, but quite a few thousands cheaper. Just for reference as well, the Dolphin starts at under £15,000 walk out the door here in Australia. BYD vehicles are 75 to 100% cheaper in Australia, for no real good reason, to be honest. BYD Atto 3, around £37,000, 60 kilowatt hour battery, 260 miles of WLTP range. It's a family-sized crossover. Really nice to drive, very nice ergonomics, competes directly with the Kia e-Niro EV and the Hyundai Kona. The BYD Seal, around £45,000, bigger battery, sportier, aimed at the Tesla Model 3, and that's really winning in the UK at the minute. BYD Seal U DMi plug-in hybrid SUV just announced for the UK. That gives petrol backup for a lot of people who do lots of long distance driving, but with the electric daily driving, which is perfect because, as everybody keeps sort of parroting, we only do like 30 miles a day on average, in the UK, for example, so we don't really need to have much range for that sort of driving. But it's nice to have a backup, so that's why people like hybrids. Rural Australians will probably know about that because it's very, very far to the next, an hour to the next village sort of thing. So perfect for people nervous about charging infrastructure as well, and people who don't want to sit at a charging station for an hour and a half at night. BYD's strategy is fairly obvious. It's to give options in a way that Tesla has not. They don't just have 2 or 3 vehicles. They've got a whole myriad of choices, basically. So you've got hatchback, you've got a family SUV, you've got a saloon, you've got hybrids, you've got full electrics, you've got little ones, you've got big ones. Tesla, in contrast, effectively has a 2-model company in the UK right now. They've got the Model 3, Model Y. There we go. It's pretty dull, but that's what it is. I mean, they're brilliant if you haven't been in a Tesla Model Y, for example, or, just go and you'll understand exactly why they sell, because they're actually very, very nice to be in. So when British buyers want variety, BYD simply has more to offer, and they're cheaper, and they have, similar specs, and they're very, very good. So first, that subsidy problem we mentioned. Sorry, I'm just drinking tea at the minute. Model 3, Model Y, both priced too high to qualify for the UK's most generous incentives. That instantly makes them look expensive compared to a BYD Dolphin. Back in 2019, Tesla basically had the UK EV market to itself. The Nissan Leaf was outdated, and it still is, actually. The Renault Zoe was a bit niche, and also was given was it a 0 or 1 star rating for the Euro NCAP, which was laughable, but they did that, and I don't think it was just. Tesla was the obvious choice, really, if you wanted a half-decent car that drives well, that's fairly reliable, that can do 200 miles in winter, so you would go buy yourself a Model 3. Now, the UK market is completely different. You've got the MG4, you've got the BYD Dolphin, you've got the BYD Dolphin Surf, you've got the Hyundai Kona, the Kia EV6, the ID3, you've got the ID2 coming soon. So that means that Tesla basically has gone from being the only real EV that people should really consider if they want to do real mileage and enjoy driving, 200 miles or 180 miles. And there's all these different cars now that people can choose from. And also there is the political stuff that I won't mention in this video, but you're welcome to say it in the comments, but I won't go into that. UK owners have been complaining about long wait times for parts, patchy service, 2 or 3 months to get cars repaired from Tesla, for example. And BYD, in contrast, has partnered with a company in the UK, a big company called Pendragon, not related to Arthur, meaning customers can walk into existing showrooms across the UK and test drive and buy the car and then service it through the exact same company. Basically, it's an established network, much like in Australia we've got the same thing going on here. So that matters more than people think. Obviously, people are obviously having issues with just having the experience of buying a new car and keeping it serviced and then having it repaired in a year's time when someone shunts the back of you. So let's zoom out a little bit. July 2025 was actually a record month for EV sales in the UK. Battery electrics made up about 21% of all new cars sold in the UK. Plug-in hybrids were another 8%. That means nearly 1 in 3 cars sold in the UK now has a plug on it, and or a plug socket. Technically not a plug, but a plug socket. But we say plug. So it's not like EV demand is collapsing at all. It's quite the opposite. It's actually growing. And I think it's nice to see in the media. The mainstream media now has largely stopped reporting that nobody wants EVs anymore, which is interesting, isn't it? But the growth is still going towards affordable brands, which is obvious. That was the next logical step after all the expensive Teslas had come in and the Model Ys and stuff that, all the rest of the society will want an EV without spending £50,000. BYD's quadrupling of sales is not just a fluke, it's a sign that the British EV buyer is now prioritising practicality, availability, price, the ability to service it and repair it quickly afterwards, if you've had a shunt, not just brand prestige. So they're not just status symbols anymore. People are buying cars to actually just own and have a nice experience owning and drive. One of the most interesting subplots here is the battle between MG and BYD, which obviously doesn't get talked about too much, but it is very real. Very different companies, but from the same country. MG, remember, is owned by SAIC, which is state-owned in China. Another Chinese giant as well. It's actually part of the FAW4 group. And the MG4 has been the UK's best-selling affordable EV for over 12 months, actually. Priced under 30 grand in the UK with very good range. Driving dynamics are fantastic, some of the best actually in the MG4, really, really nice, and it has been a hit, especially in the UK. People have been really enjoying it. So BYD is now directly competing with that, which is an interesting thing, and in some months, even outselling MG. So you've got 2 Chinese brands effectively running the affordable EV segment in Britain. Meanwhile, legacy brands like Volkswagen, Peugeot, or Peugeot, I think, if you're American, and you're wrong, but that's how you say it, and Ford are still struggling to bring their electric vehicles under £35,000, which is a hefty amount of money. And I think, are they really struggling to bring them under £35,000, or is there too much tax basically being paid in the UK to the to the state. I have no idea, but some people say that it's too expensive, and if they can do it for half the price in Australia, why is it so expensive in the UK? That's baffling, really. British reviewers from outlets like Autocar, CarWow have been generally positive, and there's a whole range of reviewers on YouTube. So there are a few that I really like to watch because I kind of have a bit of trust for what they say. The Dolphin, for example, scored very well for build quality, practicality, range, and I'm going to stick in this reliability. Obviously, at this point, we know that they're very reliable. There are multiple people having done 200, 250,000 kilometers. BYD isn't just some sort of upstart company. They're a very big company. 25 years they've been going, making electronics for Apple, for example. And they're very, very good at their electronics. They've been making batteries even for 25 years, but nobody really knows that. Their Blade battery is considered one of the safest LFP designs in the world, actually, for electric vehicles. They also supply batteries to Tesla and Toyota, obviously, the BZ4X, for example. So quality, at least in terms of reliability and battery safety, is not a weakness for BYD at all. Some people say they're actually underwhelming because of the charge speed, but I disagree. I think it's definitely perfectly okay, the speed that, in which a Dolphin charges up at from dead to full. I think it's absolutely fine. So this isn't just about July, it's about momentum. BYD is scaling in Europe really fast, faster than almost anybody really. They're already building this factory in Hungary, which is almost done at this point, setting up headquarters in Germany as well, which is kind of a funny thing to do. And now they're gaining a lot of traction in the UK, which I kind of was surprised that it took this long, but it's nice to see. If they keep quadrupling sales like this, then they could easily overtake MG as the UK's #1 Chinese EV brand, probably by the first quarter of next year, I suppose, maybe the second quarter of next year. Tesla, meanwhile, faces a tougher road without cheaper models in the pipeline, and I know they're just seemingly focusing on cars that drive themselves now, rather than cars that we can drive, which is an interesting thing. If you're a British buyer right now, this shift is good news. Competition means better deals, more choice, faster rollout of charging infrastructure because there's more cars coming, and already we're seeing price wars. MG cut the price of the MG4 earlier this year. BYD dropped the cost of the Dolphin Free Edition in China, and Tesla has been cutting prices repeatedly worldwide to stay competitive. But they are still charging a literal earth to change the colours of their cars to red, for example, when you buy them. I will keep mentioning that until it changes, because it's a lot of money. It's like thousands of dollars. That dynamic where BYD enters and forces everybody else to sharpen their pencils is only just beginning in the UK. Things are changing. So you mark my words, in the next 12 months it will look very different in the UK on the electric vehicle market. Personally, I think this shows that the UK is finally moving past that early adopter stage. For years, EV buyers in Britain were enthusiasts willing to spend more on a Tesla or an expensive Audi e-tron if you had some extra pennies. Now we're shifting into the mainstream phase where price and practicality and value will dominate, because obviously a lot of people want electric cars, not just people with lots of spare money. So, and in that phase, BYD is exactly the kind of company that will thrive. Tesla isn't going anywhere, but they've still got brand cachet, over-the-air software updates, loyal customer base as well. But unless they release a smaller, cheaper EV soon, they're going to keep losing market share more and more every year in countries like the UK, Australia, but maybe not in America, I don't know. So BYD quadrupled sales in the UK in July last month, while Tesla fell nearly 60%. That's not just a quirky headline, it's evidence of a massive turning point in the EV market. So what do you think? If you were a buyer in the UK right now, you're buying an EV in Britain, would you go for the proven Tesla brand at this point? They're proven to be quite reliable, drive really nice, they look good. Or the cheaper, more varied lineup by BYD, which I would say is very comparable, really. The quality and that sort of stuff, it's just the same. It's just, it's a different company. And how much do government subsidies influence your choice? Please let me know down in the comments, and thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate you being here. Don't forget to subscribe if you want daily EV news from around the world. And if you'd like to support my channel, links are below for you. And thank you to these people on screen who are the channel members on Patreon and on YouTube. Thank you.